Welcome. Many people on Yom Tov want to barbecue. Are you allowed to barbecue on Yom Tov? Well, the answer is yes, but there are a few restrictions that one needs to know. First of all, electric barbecue obviously needs to be avoided. You can't turn it on. You can't higher or lower the heat, and therefore you can't use the electric barbecue. How about the gas barbecue or charcoal? Those you're allowed to use, but you can't start a flame. You have to use an existing flame to start that barbecue, and therefore you bring the flame from elsewhere and you start it, and you're allowed to use material that are flammable, and you're allowed to put in there some alcohol or anything else that helps ignite and get the flame higher. You're allowed to use whatever's needed in order to higher the flame and make it ready to barbecue. Once you do that, you have to be careful with few things. First of all, lowering flame is not permitted on Yom Tov. For Sfaradim, it's not permitted even if your intention is so the meat or the chicken on the barbecue wouldn't get burnt. Sfaradim are not allowed to lower the flame, even if the purpose is for the food. Ashkenazim are more lenient about that. They're permitted to use the flame and lower it in order to make sure that the barbecue chicken or meat doesn't get burnt. And when you're done using the barbecue, you can't turn off the flame, because again, lowering or turning off a flame is not permitted on Yom Tov. This is Sfaradim and Ashkenazim alike, because we said the Ashkenazim only can be only permit for the purpose of making sure that the food is done better and doesn't get burnt and so on. Once you want to turn on a flame and it's on electric and you don't really have any other choice, in other words, you can't put it with a timer, in a case that you can't put it on a timer, and you don't have another barbecue, or you can't prepare beforehand that you should have a good barbecue that's not electric, there are those that permit asking a goy to turn it on for you. So if you have a goy that's a neighbor or a maid or something like that, they can turn on for you on Yom Tov the flame, although it's electric. Why is that? The reason is turning on a flame is only asur mid'Rabbanan. Or there's only one opinion that holds that starting a flame on Yom Tov is deoraita. Well, when we're dealing with electric, there's machloket what electricity prohibition is, but majority of the poskim would agree that on Yom Tov the issur of electricity would fall under a rabbinical issur, and therefore you can ask a goy to do it for you, since it's for the purpose of eating. Such a thing would be permitted. There's few reasons why one could permit. You can take a look at the Or Letzion, Chacham Ovadia, and many other poskim that permits doing so. What about turning off? As we said before, you can't extinguish a flame, and the electricity you can turn off. But if you feel it's dangerous, let's say there's kids around, or it could cause any kind of fire, if you're suspecting such a thing, then it's permitted to ask a goy to turn off for you the flame. Why? Again, it's for the same reason. Turning off a flame on Yom Tov is the Rabbanan. In order to avoid danger, you're allowed to ask a goy. It's called Shvut de Shvut. In the place of danger, it would be permitted. Once you have the meat on the barbecue, whatever it is, whether charcoal, gas, or electric, sometimes the flame goes a little bit lower when you put the meat. That is permitted, although we said you're not allowed to lower flame, but since this is the way you make barbecue, you put a piece of meat on top of the grill, and the flame goes down a little bit. You don't have intentions that it should go down. On the contrary, you want it to stay high, and therefore for those reasons such a thing would be permitted. Thank you and good Yom Tov.